Hey, it's Amy Nicholas. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Today's video came about from a comment on one of my other videos, and I thought I answered the comment, but I thought let me just make a video so that everybody sees it because it's going to get buried in the comments. So the viewer asked, how did I learn to day trade? And I should preface this by saying I am learning to day trade, not have learned. This is a very short journey so far and much more to learn, I'm sure. I'm only in my 4th month of day trading. So technically I started in November, so you could say December, January, February, March. Actually, I should say it's really just kind of more like month 3 because November I didn't do all day trades. December, most of December, January, and February, now into March, this is my focus. I'm also a long-term investor, and I was doing swing trading, but decided to sort of put that on hold while I focused on the day trade stuff. So who am I learning from? What am I studying? Like, how am I learning the techniques, strategies and all that sort of stuff. And I was going to start with the YouTubers. I have decided to just focus on their channels because I don't want to listen to too many people with too many different conflicting theories. So I've narrowed it down to 4. The first one, the guy I've probably learned the most from technical analysis standpoint, is a guy you've probably seen on YouTube because he's got a bazillion subscribers, and his name is Ross Cameron of Warrior Trading. And I have not paid for any of his programs or anything like that. I've literally just gotten like immense value, and I'm still learning tons of stuff from his 2,700 videos on his channel. He breaks down his trades every day and goes deep into, when he was getting in and out, like how he positions his sizes and things like that. And he shows, like, one of my favorite things is he shows like a whiteboard. Like, he'll pull out, an actual whiteboard, and he'll have the camera just like centered over it, and he'll draw like the candlesticks, and he'll explain the chart, and like it's just really helpful if you're a visual learner like I am to see that put into color, and let me draw it for you, and let me show you like this and that. So one of the strategies I learned from him was the micro pullback strategy, and I think on several of his videos he's got this like free PDF you can download. So I grabbed that, and I learned basically, like, if you're gonna go long on something, then his strategy is to wait for that little bit of a pullback. You see the big green candle, and a lot of people are like, oh, I gotta jump in, right? And then maybe you see a second green candle, and you think you're missing the move, but he's like, wait to time your entry. Wait for that little pullback where the stock is sort of like trying to figure things out. Price is sort of like hovering there for a moment, and you wait for that little bit of a pullback, and you see a red candle. And I think on his it's usually like 2 red candles on the 1-minute chart that he's kind of looking for as a pullback, and then he gets in. And he's watching the MACD and the VWAP, and I learned all this stuff from him in order to set up my charts and know, like, okay, is this even a good trade to take? Now, I will say that his strategy is completely different in the way that his rules are set up. He trades low float stocks that are basically shooting up because of some news and are very volatile. And, some of these stocks could be like gone overnight. So me personally, I like to trade more of like the Magnificent Seven through ETFs and stuff that I have no problem with liquidity. You could get into a situation with low float where maybe it's harder to unload if you buy a bunch of shares. So, but he's just a very experienced, very knowledgeable trader. I think he's been doing it for like 20 some years. And he's just really easy to like listen to and learn from. So definitely recommend check him out. And I'll mention him again in the book section because he's got a really good book. Okay, so next guy I started listening to really got a lot of value. And this guy, he's more of a swing trader, but he's so good with the charts and the technical analysis, and sometimes he'll call out, hey, this is something I would take on a day trade. And this guy is Gareth Soloway. and he has a company called Verified Investing. And so he's got programs and things like that as well. I haven't invested anything, haven't paid for any of his stuff. I watch his stuff every morning because he does a live show about 6 a.m. my time, about 9 a.m. Eastern time. Just before the bell and the market opens, and then he does one at the close as well. It's not always just him doing the videos. It's occasionally his other people on his team that do the close one. But yeah, he's really, really good at showing the charts and showing the levels of like, hey, if I'm going to go into NVIDIA, this is what I'm looking for. If I'm going to go into WeRide, he was talking about today, this is what I'm looking for. And, part of it gives me a little bit of FOMO because I do want to swing trades. I'm like, I hear these things and I'm like, nope, stick to the day trade. So if he mentions levels on a day trade, a lot of times I'll just kind of follow that and I'll take notes, and like when I'm looking at the charts in the morning, like, am I gonna, potentially trade? Like one of the ones I had a profitable trade on was CVS, and there was another, Hood. If I hadn't gotten stopped out, I would have been profitable on that one. He called it, with like the numbers of where they were going after earnings. So anyways, good guy to listen to. Next up is this guy here. I believe his name is Benjamin. His channel is called Trading Addict, and he trades Forex and futures. Like his channel's been around for quite some time. He's got 814,000 subscribers. I think at one point he switched, and he switched to futures, I believe. So really, I'm not watching this guy so much for those markets and technicals and all that. I really just like his mindset stuff, his psychology videos. He has a lot of stuff about, like what to do if you, you blow your account or you have a bad trading day, or even just like routines, like what's the morning routine, things like that. I do like that he explains, though, his strategy about supply and demand, because that applies no matter what you're trading. Supply and demand is going to be an important aspect. Whether you're trading stocks, ETFs, crypto, Forex, futures, whatever, there's supply and demand levels, right? To look for those. So I just really like his style. He's from New York. He's just, very like, let me lay it out straight kind of thing. And he gives good tips about building a small account, like going to get side hustles, working extra hours, do this, do that. He even says that he sold his own car, like in order to trade. And he was like, yeah, I was hungry. I really wanted to do this. So I did what was necessary at the time. So he's just a really good guy to listen to. Lastly is a guy I kind of just found. I think he just started showing up on my feed. And I just also follow him as well for the mindset and psychology stuff. I also like that he's a business guy. He talks a lot about, the similarities of how a business person thinks and how you apply that to trading. It's a little bit more of a flashy channel. He's kind of like, here's my trips, here's my car, here's my jewelry and things. But then he also lays it out like, hey, like it took me 10 years to get here, right? And stuff like that. So he's a little bit more of the entertainment side, day trading. It's Chris Swaggy C. Williams. And he's got 593,000 subscribers, and he's been around for a while. I kind of feel like maybe he pulled down some of his older videos because they only go back like 4 years, 4 or 5 years, something like that. And yet in those earlier videos, he's talking about what he was doing 2 years prior, and it kind of seems like maybe he pulled some of the older ones down. So who knows? Anyways, I like that he's a young guy. He's very energetic. He gives kind of like that no nonsense, like in your face, like here's what you need to do kind of stuff. And he trades Forex, and he's a swing trader. So actually, he's not really even like day trading anymore. He's just doing swing trades, but he talks about, how he got started and things like that. And so I watch his older videos to kind of learn from, but I kind of really watch him more so for, again, that sort of pump you up mindset stuff and kind of the lifestyle stuff. Because it's like, when you hit these certain levels of success, like what's available? Like what are people doing? Like he's living in Dubai and Puerto Rico, and he's like, I do this trade and then I go and have fun with my family and do whatever. And it's just interesting to me to kind of see a different lifestyle, like what's possible, right? Like you kind of have to open your mind when you get into this to like not just think too small. Like you want to be realistic, but you also want to dream a little bit, like, oh well, maybe I could do this one day. So anyways, those are the four I'm kind of learning the day trading stuff from, even though that's not all that they do. And then getting into the books. Okay, so I've got some physical books here, and actually let's just start with the ones I have on my iPad here. Not as many, but the first one I gotta give props to, again, Ross Cameron. He's got How to Day Trade the Plain Truth. This one I actually got free from attending his free webinar. So if you stay to the end of the webinar, you watch the full thing, which was great, by the way. You stay to the end, you get access to download his book for free, which you could just go on Amazon and buy, but save yourself $20, whatever it is. So anyways, the webinar was good. I'm sure it's on the link on his YouTube videos. It gets into the technicals, but not too much technical. I like that he shares his story. He gets into how he got started, the wins and losses, some major losses in the beginning, and how he sort of jumped in all in. Like he just was like, I'm not going to a job. I'm doing this, right? And he's really built up his account quite amazingly. I think his stats are something like his first account had like $583, and in over like, I don't know, it was like 8 to 10 years, he grew it to 10 million. So yeah, somebody to listen to. The other guy I really like, and this was one of the first books I read specific to day trading, is called How to Day Trade for a Living by Andrew Aziz. Let me show the cover here. And he also has a YouTube channel under Bear Bull Traders. So that one I actually would add to my list in the sense that I watch them sometimes in the mornings live. They do live trading on that channel. And I kind of just like to know I'm not alone doing this, that other people are trading. And he trades very similar to what I trade, where he's trading ETFs that mirror sometimes these big stocks. Like NVIDIA has NVDL, which is the long ETF. Tesla has, you can do TSLR or TSLL if you want to go long, and you can do TSLQ ETF if you want to go for the short side. And that's how he trades a lot of times, as well as the main stock. If it's like under $100, he'll just buy like the main stock. But for these higher priced, stocks, that's often what he's trading. So he gets into more of the technical analysis and things like that. I also like that he covers risk management, stop losses and rules, and again, some of the psychology and stuff like that. So really good book. He has a second book that I'm just starting to get into called Advanced Techniques in Day Trading. Some of it is repeatable from the first book, but I thought, well, I got a lot of value out of that one. It's helped me set up my rules and my system, and let me just keep going. So I'm like 30% through that one. And next up is another book by him, but also with somebody else that's helped co-author it. Mastering Trading Psychology is the name on this one. And hang on just one sec. Show you guys the cover. Oh, come on. Okay. Mastering Trading Psychology. Improve your trading with first-hand reports by real-life traders. So Andrew Aziz and Mike Baer co-authored this book. And what I really like is it's a lot of what stories have been shared on their paid group that they have, Bear Bull Traders. They're pulling from people's experiences and what they commented in the forums and stuff and sharing stories. So it kind of is like, if you have a bad day and you think, oh shoot, I lost money, whatever, and then you read some of these stories, you don't feel as bad. There's, a couple where people are blowing like thousands of dollars in a day. And, one guy, he had just gone live and he's like day 2, lost $1,000. It's like, okay, it's not so bad when, you're down 30, 40, $50 or something. And you read these, it kind of is just like, helpful to read stories from other traders. Plus, there's people who give tips throughout the book and share their experiences and how they overcame things. And I think that's really important, is to read these stories of like, how did people overcome the enormous challenges there are with day trading? Like, what did they do? They had a bad loss. Did they give up and quit? Or, what did they do to get back on track and eventually become super successful at it, right? So those books, I would say, are really helpful for day trading. And then some of these other books are not specific to day trading, but have helped me a lot in learning technical analysis, reading charts, and kind of like just figuring this whole thing out, right? Mastering the Trade. This is like almost like like a college manual here by John F. Carter. And he talks intraday and swing trading. So just keep in mind, this is a little bit of both. Gets pretty darn deep. He's got like these like crazy, in-depth charts and things. Like sometimes I can only read so much and then my brain feels like it's going to explode. So I step away, but I've made it to chapter 16. And I've underlined a bunch of stuff. I intend to go back through this book and pull all my highlighted, underlined notes out and put it in a journal. But yeah, really good stuff. And this is the new edition, the third one. Next up, this is kind of, I remember reading about this guy from another book, and I said, let me check this out. And there was this technique explained called tape reading, which is what they used to do back in the day, right? When there was no electronic stock market, it was all through the ticker tape. And this one is called Studies in Tape Reading by Richard DeMille Wyckoff. And he's like super famous guy, trader. And he kind of reminded me of Jesse Livermore, one of the great all-time traders who made gazillions of dollars during the Depression, or right when the stock market crashed. But this guy, he's a day trader. Jesse Livermore was more of a swing trader. And it's funny, the stuff he talks about, as old as this book is, I think this was written in the 50s, maybe? Oh, it doesn't say the original. It's super old. 1910. Okay. Really old stuff. It says it down here on 1910. So, yeah, trading was obviously very different back then. But it's funny the stuff that still applies. He talks about stop losses and share size and, when to cut and run. He even talked about, I put a little note here, a trailing stop loss. And I'm like, thinking that, maybe some of these things were newer things that have been implemented in the market. No. Like, these ideas have been around for a really long time. He talks about just specific trades that he took and like why he took it and when he got in at, what he got. So it's really interesting from a biography or autobiography kind of perspective, although it's not so much like this is my life. It's more like, these trades and analysis and stuff like that. But it's just, it's really interesting. Check it out. Studies in Tape Reading. It'll help you. This book, when I started to have a drawdown with day trading, and this is kind of also when the market was turning, and I started to kind of like feel like, I'm not, it's slipping from me. I'm losing my edge. What's going on? I'm having losing day after losing day, and it was losing week after losing week. I started to really get into this book more and more. I bought it already and wasn't super deep into it, but the mental game of trading. He talks about, okay, all these emotions that we've got going on when we're day trading, greed, fear, anger, confidence, and discipline, and how to actually approach each of them without just saying, oh, I'm being greedy, I'm being fearful, bad on me, right? Like, it's actual like application. You feel this, you should go and do this kind of stuff. And it really helped me to get to the point where mentally I could say, I can accept a loss and I can feel good about it. I remember the first time I used a stop loss and I lost money, but I felt good that day because I had, number one, learned something, like expanded my mind. And number two is because I had changed the way I was thinking. Because now I was like, oh, like this prevented me from losing way more money, and I didn't lose that much. It was a very small amount. And I learned to trade smaller so that I wasn't dealing with these issues of fear. Because when things were drawing down for me, it was coming from a place of fear of losing money. And then other times it's come from anger. Like, have you ever taken a trade and been like, dang it, I got in at the wrong time. I hit the button at the wrong time. I didn't set my stop loss far enough. I got stopped out too soon. Like what's wrong with me? And you just barrage of thoughts that are just anger thoughts, and a lot of times just self-directed, like, on yourself. I think that's the worst. It's better that you take responsibility, but if you're just directing straight anger at yourself, it's not going to help, right? So kind of recognizing what's going on there, because initially I think I was still thinking I was in a fear-based mentality if I had a loss or something, and then other times I realized, no, I'm actually mad about this. And I was like, why am I mad? Because I didn't follow my rules some of the times was one of the reasons. So, it helped me to hone in on my system of like, okay, these are the rules I follow. I only take this many trades a day. I only accept this much loss per day or this much per week. And I only do I can only have 3 red days in a row. That's it. And I'm done for the week. So it helped me really a lot. Check it out. I'm still going through that. This was one of the very first books I ever read when I started trading, period, like day and swing. And it helped me to just understand the different perspectives here, because I'd always been a long-term investor before this, and I'd always gone long. And to think of shorting or making profit when the market was not doing well, I was like, what? Like, how do you do that, right? So Stan Weinstein's book, Secrets for Profiting in Bull and Bear Markets, really, really good stuff. It's an old book from the 80s, but so good. Like, it helped me to read the charts. It helped me to understand, head and shoulder patterns and necklines and all sorts of things. I mean, I just really, really liked this book. It's another very technical kind of book, but one of the best things I think he did was he would do quizzes. So he'd talk about a certain thing, and then he'd do a quiz and see if you knew, if you grasped the concept based on your answers. So I liked that. And lastly, this book, A Complete Guide to Volume Price Analysis. It says read the book, then read the market. Anna Cooling. I initially downloaded it as a sample on my Kindle, and I was like, I think I want this book. So she talks all about like confirming that the trend you're seeing on the chart, is it with volume, right? It's kind of like hammered into your head over and over. Like, you might see a bunch of green candles, right? And you think, oh, it's going up. And then she's like, but look at the volume. And then it's like vice versa with, you see a bunch of selling, you see a bunch of red candles, but is the price showing volume as it goes down? So it's a lot of that kind of repetition, but she does make a point to, show these like graphics and things. And this book isn't in color. I didn't go with the color version. I don't think you really need to. It's pretty obvious, like, what's a red candle, what's a green candle. And then the rest of the charts, I mean, you don't really, like, she's got little graphics and things to kind of tell you, like, what she's trying to say. It's definitely a very technical book. It's probably why I'm only, like, halfway through it. But, I think it's just one of those things. Every little bit of knowledge that you can put in that noggin to help you better day trade is going to pay off in the long run, right? Even if you get one idea from the book, it's paid for itself. And for me, yes, because as common sense as this might be to some people, I didn't know when I first started to look for volume, like make sure the move is validated with volume. Otherwise, it could be market makers, high frequency trading going on, certain things manipulated behind the scenes you just don't see. Confirm it with the volume, right? So that's all the resources I could think of so far that I have put into my my head to learn from. I haven't purchased any courses or gotten into anybody's programs yet. I kind of see myself leaning towards the Bear Bull Traders program, and they have like you can test it out, I think, for a week or something, which would give me access to their actual screens and their chat room and stuff when they're live trading. I've gotten so much value from Andrew Aziz's books and watching him on YouTube trade. It's not as in depth as the trading you see when you're apparently in their chat and stuff like that, but it's been helpful, and I'm like, well, you know, that's possibly on my list of like who I would actually put down money. I really like Ross Cameron's stuff too, but his is a bit more on the upper end. Sure, it's worth it. It's just not for me right now to put down that kind of money. But who knows, you know, down the line. So if you guys have any other resources that have helped you with day trading, feel free to share it down below. I'm definitely always open to learning more. You know, this is what it's all about. Execution, learn, execution, learn, rinse and repeat. Just do it over and over. So if you guys like this video, feel free to check out some of the other videos I got on the channel about day trading, like how I got started, you know, one of my actual trading days I reviewed, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.